Keep talking. There you go.
Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. We're here today. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We do have our clerk and deputy clerk with us with several other staff members. And we do have quorum, so it's exactly 1 o'clock. And as we move forward, we get to an opportunity sometimes where we change the agenda. I'm going to do that right now. And what I'm going to speak on is the recent events in the last 10, 11, 12 days. We in Hamilton Township, like many, were affected severely by the ice storm. And our people, our residents, our ratepayers, maybe a better word than our people, our ratepayers, our residents, did any number of things to help their neighbors, to survive themselves. Our staff, even though they were without power at home, schools closed, kids at home, without power, without water, without, kitchen and washroom facilities. Our staff stood tall. They came to work. They put in extra hours. They put in extra days because I know many started on the Sunday or even the Saturday. And those calls and those efforts didn't stop at dark time. They went throughout the night. And I would be in no way able to list the people or maybe even the departments properly that did the extra. So in a very general sort of way, I just want to take this very first moment of our very first meeting after the ice storm fallout to say thank you to everyone. And I will move on unless my fellow council members would like to add anything. Dittos from everybody, I guess. And by the way, the council horseshoe here didn't have a very high percentage of power on at home either. So anyway, thank you to everyone. And I don't think we've had much worse storms than that in the last 20, 30, 40 years. So we did well. Thank you all. Our real next item on our agenda is our Township of Hamilton, our land acknowledgement statement. The Township of Hamilton is situated within the traditional territory of the Mississauga, Anishinaabe, and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. Our work on these lands respectively acknowledges their resilience and their long-lasting contributions to the area now known as the Township of Hamilton. Item 3 on our agenda. Do we have any declarations of interest today? Seeing none, that will be recorded. Confirmation of the agenda. Prepared motion is that the Committee of the Whole agenda for April 8th, 2025 be approved. I have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Bruce, seconded by John. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next item of business. Leslie Abram, Director, regarding information on the Northumberland Land Trust. This is a verbal presentation from Leslie. We welcome you and we'll welcome you to the podium, and we'll just confirm with a head shake from some of our staff that the microphone is on.
All right, how's that sound? Good, and I'm glad to hear that you all have your power back on, and that I live in Brighton Township, and we had similar challenges as well, and it really was a chance to see how neighbors and friends help each other out. So yeah, I wanted to thank you so much for your time today. I'm here strictly for informational purposes to let you know about Northumberland Land Trust. I'm a volunteer for the Land Trust myself. We are a completely volunteer-run organization, except for one person, one employee, and we are growing a lot, and I wanted to let you know some of the things that we're doing in the community, and then answer any questions you might have about how land trusts operate. And so that's what I'm here for, and I thank you for your time. So the Northumberland Land Trust right now has 17 nature reserves in Northumberland County. Actually, today we announced number 17. There was a press release that went out. So these, Northumberland Land Trust is a private nonprofit organization, and almost all of our properties have been donated to us by families or individuals. When this happens, then we protect and care for the property in perpetuity. Some of our properties are woodlands. Some have farming operations on them. For example, cattle grazing. The one that's in Hamilton Township has cattle grazing on it. Some of them have hay fields. So there are 4 nature reserves that actually have some farming and some conservation area in them. We work closely with the farmers to preserve nature, but also have them have a successful farming operation. So we work in cooperation. And so I wanted to let you know also that we have a lot of activities for the health and well-being, not only of nature, but for the community. On our website, I gave a little card to you. On our website, we have events every month. They could be nature walks. They could be an event to go observe moths in the forest, or we have arts days where people come and create art or music at our reserves. So we try to reach out to as many different sectors of the community, whether it be photographers, youth groups, farmers, artists, to get them out in nature. Doctors are actually prescribing nature to help with physical and mental health and well-being. And so one of the reasons I'm here is because one of our greatest challenges in the Northumberland Land Trust is public awareness. People just have never heard of us, or if they have, they don't know what a land trust is or what they do. And so I'm encouraging you to take a look at the website. If you have an idea, if you'd like to wander around on one of our reserves or take a guided walk, come out and join us or spread the word to people you know. I wanted to tell you about our latest 3 nature reserves because Northumberland Land Trust has been growing at an exponential rate the last year, mostly because we were finally able to get the funding to get an employee. And before that, we'd been completely volunteer-based. And now, this year, the first reserve that we opened was in January, the Biddy Creek Wetland. It's 300 acres of ecologically important wetland south of the 401, north of Brighton. Okay, you can see it actually from the 401. And then the next one, I'm very excited about because it's about 1 kilometer from my house, and that is called the Haddon Nature Reserve, donated by Derry Haddon. And it is mostly forest, wetlands. There's a beaver pond, lots of vernal pools, which are those wet pools in forests that are only there in the spring, where salamanders and frogs breed. And so it's a very important ecosystem there. So Derry Haddon, that's near Castleton. And then the most recent one, Willow Lane, is by the Northumberland Forest. So a little bit west and north of here. And Willow Lane Nature Reserve is open fields and forests. And there's going to be tours of both of those. The latest 2 that I talked about, Willow Lane and Haddon, there's walking tours of those coming up in May and June of this year. Biddy Creek Wetland is not open to the public because it is next to the 401, and it's also a marsh, so really inaccessible, no trails. It's truly a reserve for nature. So some of our nature reserves are like that. They're impenetrable alder swamps, or they're next to something like the 401. They're not safe for people to go on. We also have some that are open to the public all the time. I'm very fortunate to be the steward of the Lone Pine Marsh Nature Reserve, which is north of Colburn. And that one has a brand new, beautiful picnic shelter that seats 30 people. It has a viewing platform over the reserve, over the marsh at the reserve, and it has about 3 kilometers of hiking trails. And all of these reserves that I'm speaking of are free to access. That you don't need a pass or anything like that. So the Lone Pine Marsh is a place that you can go anytime. I would suggest if you're ever out in May, you go there because it's bird paradise. And last year when we did our bird marathon there, which is when we go out for we go out for 24 hours and try to get as many species of birds as we can. We got 99 different species of birds at the Lone Pine Marsh. So you can see that these reserves are really a haven for wildlife. And what we're trying to do in Northumberland County is make some wildlife corridors, make some areas for wildlife where they can move from forest to forest, trying to get reserves that are close to each other, as they call them, wildlife corridors. And so that's basically all I wanted to tell you about today. Just invite you out to walk, let you know what the Land Trust is and what we do. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
I'll just say quickly, thank you, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Do we have any questions? Larry, please.
It's just one, how do you get your funding?
That's a terrific question. We have a number of very generous donors. We also we also solicit funding from foundations, private foundations, and we also get government funding. We have to apply for grants. Sometimes the grants are successful, sometimes they're not. But we were able to get government grants for the most recent two. There's something called the Greenland Conservation Program that we got to cover the acquisition costs of the last two, because even though the donors donate their land, there are still costs. Often the house and maybe some property around the house that's on there has to be severed. There have to be surveys, biological studies, and lawyers' fees. And it costs anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000 to transfer a property over to the land trust. So that's a great question. Yeah.
Follow up, Larry?
I just follow up, is it, so now. They get it,
Yes. So they say that the property was assessed at $100,000. I'm just making that up, but then they would be able to carry that as a tax deduction as a donation, but a tax deduction over the next, I believe it's 12 years. It might be 13. So you don't have to declare it all in 1 year. So you are able to do that. Yeah.
Other questions? I have two, although one has a double part to it.
Okay.
Not to put you on the spot, but because my memory's getting older, was it Muriel Graham that started Lone Pine Marsh that you referenced?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
My other question, the two-part question is, do you have any details on the property in Hamilton Township? And I'm saying that for some of our viewing public, you have size, location, the type of land that it is.
Mhm.
Do you have something like that you could share with us?
Yes, so this is called, it's called the Bonebacker Nature Reserve, and it was donated in officially 2019. It is around 150 acres. It's partly hay fields, which are fantastic habitat for grassland birds. It's partly pasture grazing for cattle, and it's partly woodland, and it's near Baltimore. So it's called the Bonebacker Nature Reserve. It was donated by Tyne and Joanna Bonebacker.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Bruce?
Yes.
No, we actually don't want cropland for two reasons. First of all, because we need to feed people and we realize the importance of agriculture. And secondly, they tend not to be biologically significant, like a big field of corn. So, yeah, so when people donate land, it's kind of up to them how they want to do it. There is also an Ontario Farmland Trust. Yeah, who are trying to and are doing a very good job of preserving farmland in Northumberland in southern Ontario. And they now have funding to move east and they're moving into Northumberland County now. They're just hiring somebody to be their outreach coordinator. So this also is dealing with the fact that we need to protect farmland from development as well. Mhm.
I, better quality of,
You mean like arable land that you can,
like what you're talking about. Class 1 or 2, it could be 3 or they would be.
that's right. We have two different priorities. Yeah, but both of us are looking to protect land from development.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm. Thank you.
I will come back to kind of an official thank you.
Okay.
I've had the occasion to look at you directly, where some at the back of the room haven't had that opportunity. Your interest, your volunteer component, and your enthusiasm is certainly present on your face and in your words when you are speaking. So I'll simply say thank you. Thank you for being a volunteer, and we appreciate the time you spent with us today.
Yes, and thank you for your support and for your time and enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Turn this on.
Could we have a motion to receive the presentation, please? Moved by Larry, seconded by John. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Our next presentation comes without first names on the sheet that's in front of me. So I don't know whether that's because of the nature of the presentation you're going to share with us or just the way it happened. Anyway, I happen to know the first names. So I welcome Jennifer Moore, who is our CAO of Northumberland County, and Matthew Nitsch, who is our Director of Finance, I guess is proper title, Matthew. And I don't know whether I've said it in the past, but Matthew has the privilege of being a resident of Hamilton Township. So welcome the two of you. And I point out that we want the same positive impact in the facial expressions that our last presenter had. Now, the bar may be high, but please continue.
I can definitely give it a whirl. Do you want us to change slides or do you want to change slides? Okay. All right. Grab the clicker. Okay. Thank you. So it is obviously nice to be back again. I think I've presented to everybody here multiple times, some many times. And I'm hoping that I'm not too short on enthusiasm when I present. We'll start off. This is our what we affectionately called our roadshow that we come and visit each member municipal council over the course of the spring once we get our budget approved and our plan set for the year. So last night we kicked off in Brighton. This is number 2, and we'll continue to roll through. So we'll start off by just saying thank you for having us, and we really are happy to be here. What we'll talk about are the highlights for 2025 and a little bit about our accomplishments last year. We've continued with a focus on economic resilience, social well-being, infrastructure, investment, and environmental sustainability. Resilience has long been a characteristic of our communities, and in the face of change and uncertainty, Northumberland County really does continue to adapt, innovate, and lead with purpose. We remain committed to delivering high-quality essential services, managing public resources responsibly, and advocating for the evolving needs of our residents. So with strong collaboration with all of our member municipalities and other levels of government, we're working to strengthen our region and ensuring that we remain a great place to live and work today, but we're also well positioned for the future. So now we'll. Is it not moving? I'll let you go. Next slide then, please. Perfect. Okay. So the year in review, just a couple of highlights. It was a year of strategic progress. We saw a number of our initiatives advanced significantly through sound fiscal management and regional collaboration. We advanced key objectives that were identified in our 4-year strategic plan, and really with the overriding vision of growth with intention. Municipalities across the Ontario face rising costs, increasing service demands, and funding challenges. We're certainly no exception. And regional leadership and advocacy are crucial. By working together on shared IT services, waste management, paramedic response, and housing, we're achieving efficiencies that individual municipalities could not do alone. And together, we continue to deliver high-quality services that our residents rely on. We've strengthened our supports for homelessness, for mental health, and affordable housing. We've renewed our roads and bridges because investing in infrastructure fuels our economic growth. We've advanced transformative initiatives in social services and sustainability while recognizing the significant challenges ahead. We've accomplished a lot, but we know there's still a lot more to do in the community. Rising costs and financial pressures require us to prioritize efficiency and innovation in our service delivery, and collaboration among our member municipalities remains key to driving this change. I'll go to the next slide. And you can see here just a reminder of our key priorities. These are all going to be critical as our population is projected to grow to 122,000 people by 2051. So we know that's going to have significant pressure on housing, infrastructure, healthcare, and social services as we work to build an inclusive and prosperous community. So we'll go to the next slide. And this is a slide that we unveiled last year with our new dashboard. We encourage everybody to take a look. It is online and available to the public. We have some highlights on this slide, but in total, there's 44 key indicators that are available to see how we're progressing against our initiatives. Some of the highlights are affordable housing. We're targeting 900 new affordable housing units by 2029, and we're about 35% of the way there with what's currently in the pipeline. Those are either built or under construction or in design. Waste management, we're very proud that if anybody does have an issue and they phone in, 99% of our calls are resolved within one business day. Childcare expansion, again, this is an area where we're doing quite well. We're on track for 404 new licensed childcare spaces by 2026, and we're currently just over a third of the way there. Roads, we did surface treatment for about 120 kilometers last year, and about 100 kilometers of that was with member municipalities. Shelter services is certainly an area that gets significant attention. Transition House operates the 310 Division Street facility, which is averaging about 80% capacity on a daily basis, and it's really reflecting our ongoing demand for need in that area. Our community paramedicine program, our referrals increased by 21% last year, reducing hospital demand and ensuring residents are receiving more proactive healthcare right within their home. So they reflect some of the progress that we're seeing, and in 2025, we will remain on track and continue to strengthen our partnerships as we move forward with our service delivery and innovation. So moving on to the next slide, we'll start talking about the budget, and I'll transition to Matt to lead us through that.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good afternoon, everyone. As I believe we mentioned last year that in 2024, County Council approved a multi-year budget, so a budget that covered the years 2024, 25, and 26. And as part of that process, there is an opportunity to review and make changes to the budget. So following council direction to review the 2025 budget, adjustments were made to prioritize cost savings while maintaining essential services. So the approved 2025 county budget totals the 235 million with a levy of just under 80 million. I would note the budget is significantly higher than it normally would be because of some significant capital projects that we have had underway, the new GPL Golden Plow Lodge development, as well as some housing projects, one on Ontario Street in particular. So those are really driving that number to be higher than it normally would be. Council and staff reduced the planned levy increase from 8.64 to 6.12%, balancing affordability with service delivery. And this includes the base levy and our dedicated levies. So we have a dedicated infrastructure levy and a dedicated housing levy. So those are both captured in the 6.12% that was approved. We have worked to minimize the impact on taxpayers while ensuring essential services, infrastructure investments, and strategic initiatives remain a priority. And next slide, please. So the budget infographic that I believe was shared in your package provides a breakdown of how county services are funded, how property taxes are allocated, as well as an overview of service performance and meeting planned objectives. Our funding sources include obviously property taxes, which account for the largest share, contributing approximately 45% to total revenue. Our grants and subsidies provide our second largest portion, representing 36% of our revenue, or $65 million. And our other sources of revenue include such things as development charges, waste fees, long-term care resident fees, and other sources as well. So council and staff remain committed to balancing rising financial pressures while being mindful of the financial challenges that residents face. Staff continue to assess their departments for opportunities to reduce costs while maintaining service levels.
Okay, and I'll continue on with some of the projects that we'll see in 2025. So if we go, we're already on the next slide, but we'll talk a little bit about infrastructure. We've been advancing several transformative infrastructure projects, connectivity, safety, and quality of to enhance the quality of life of residents. These investments span housing, long-term care, roads, and bridges, and they're all critical to keeping our communities both connected and competitive. So of course, as we've mentioned, we've been talking about it now for a few years. The Golden Plow Lodge and Northumberland County Archives and Museum is now in its final stages of construction. In the coming months, we will actually take possession of the finished facility by the end of June, and then we'll start on-site training. We'll start getting all the furniture and fixtures and everything set up and the staff established and ready to go with daily operation. It reflects our commitment to creating a comfortable and welcoming space. I've had the opportunity to tour it a number of times now, and it really is a beautiful space. I know the mayor has had a chance to go through, and it's going to be nice and bright and a nice place for folks to live. We're also now at the 90% design phase of the Trent River Crossing, otherwise known as the Campbellford Bridge, the second bridge. Again, this one has been a time in the making, but we are now in the property acquisition process, and that is underway. We will be moving forward with construction. We're currently pursuing some funding options, and as we look at things like the new Campbellford Hospital, things like that are major projects, and this second bridge will be essential in their community for reliable access. County Road 64, also known as Prince Edward Street in Brighton, is progressing. Last year, we completed the rural section. This year, we'll move to the urban section of that. We did 6.9 kilometers last year, and now we'll be into the urban area. So it's a multi-phased and multi-year initiative. Other projects for 2025, a reminder, we've got about 500 kilometers of road and about 112 structures and bridges. So this year, Baltimore Creek Rehabilitation along County Road 45, that's having the retaining wall work on it there. That's already underway. Culvert relining on County Road 25 in Warkworth. Burnley Bridge will be replaced. Rehab of the Trent River Bridge that's along County Road 30. Elgin Street retaining wall repairs within Coburg, and the Welcome intersection in Port Hope will be upgraded to enhance safety and traffic flow. So that those are some of the major highlights in addition to some regular paving and that sort of works. Next slide, please. Looking at housing and shelter, of course, housing, remains a top priority. We certainly are still continuing to experience a significant housing crisis, even though maybe some other initiatives have our attention at the moment. Housing is still at the core of much of what we need in our community. Elgin Park Phase 2 is on budget and on schedule for completion in June. This was a two-phase project. We opened the first two buildings a year or so ago, and folks are living there. It'll be a total of 40 units when all is completed, and they will be a mix of rent geared to income and affordable market rent units. King Street East redevelopment in Colborne. This is a multi-year redevelopment where we're currently in the preliminary design phase, and we'll see it move from 22 units up to about 60 or maybe just a few more. Ontario Street Housing Development is a partnership with Ontario Aboriginal Housing and the Northumberland County Housing Corporation within Cobourg. It's currently undergoing archaeological assessments, the rail safety studies and geotech, and we anticipate that we will be launching construction in early 2026. And we've also are opening up 2 new transitional housing buildings to expand that type of housing capacity at 129 Kent Street and 152 Cobourg, both in Campbellford. And they will be smaller housing or individual units where there'll be smaller groups that will reside there with supports. Transition House Coalition is continuing to operate in partnership with the county, Cobourg and other levels of government, the 310 Division Street, modernized shelter service and hub. It was opened up in the first phase in November of last year. It's a 24/7 shelter services hub offering a range of supports. It includes 20 warming room spaces. That's to offer respite during the cold winters and hot summers. There's 35 emergency shelter spaces for short-term accommodations for those in crisis. And we're just in the process of moving folks into 10 transitional housing units that will help people to move to more stable permanent housing. If we go to the next slide. At healthcare, last year, our paramedics responded to over 25,000 calls from our 6 bases. It has been a very busy area, and we are certainly seeing that with the launch of the Medical Priority Dispatch System, MPDS, just launched a couple of weeks ago. That is a internationally recognized triage system that we've been advocating for many years at this point. We will see that get the right resources to the right people, with medical urgency being the priority rather than the historical first call, first served type of approach. And we will see the critical cases get the most immediate response. We are also embarking on some groundbreaking research to do with pediatric cardiac arrest for those that are between 24 hours and 18 years old. Unfortunately, we do see a high rate of cardiac issue with pediatric patients in our community, and we're very well positioned to be at the forefront of this important study. We are also working on a lot of initiatives with community paramedicine and looking at non-emergency in-home healthcare services. And we've seen that proactive approach be very successful as the number of clients continue to grow. In 2024, we also launched a pilot program for a Port Hope walk-in clinic and looking at all sorts of supports there to address the physician shortage in our community. So we never really envisioned that as a municipal government, we would be as involved in healthcare as we are. But in the last few years, we do have our walk-in clinic. We're engaging in some activities with physician recruitment, spearheading addiction treatment beds, and addressing various other healthcare gaps in our community. Moving on to environmental sustainability. This one, of course, our waste department continues to be working, advancing many initiatives, particularly around diversion. We're seeing household hazardous waste. We're seeing electronic recycling, green bin. All of those initiatives are growing volumes and seeing more and more materials diverted from our landfills. And at the same time, we're seeing our green bag or the black bag that we put at the curb is actually seeing a bit of a decline in usage. So those are all positive things as we look at our waste reduction efforts. Our CRCs are continuing to launch new programs for diversion, most recently the mattress diversion program. And just this week, we have now surpassed diverting 1,000 mattresses. So we crossed that threshold fairly quickly. We're also working on greenhouse gas emission reduction plans, and our target is a 65% reduction from the 2005 levels by 2030, and we are well on our way to doing that. Also, in this area, we're excited to launch the Prosper in Northumberland, and keep your eyes and ears open as we look at more for those initiatives going forward. When we go to next, we'll talk a little bit, resilient economy. Oh, okay, perfect. I already mentioned Prosper Northumberland. So we will launch that. We have a cross-functional team that is on that committee, and we will see that with lots of media campaign and work. We're resurrecting this as a bit of a response to the current tariff situation. And the next slide, please. Broadband, Hamilton Township is right at the beginning of this one. We have said many times that broadband is coming. This year we can come and say that we are actually digging in the ground this year. And Hamilton Township, I know particularly around Bewdley, they've been there for a couple of weeks, putting some fiber in the ground. This will connect over 11,000 unserved or underserved homes. It is a collaboration between all three levels of government and private sector partners. Axel Telecom is the partner that you will see their logos up there doing the actual work. And there will be more communications coming in the coming weeks. We just need to get out of the provincial federal election window so that we can do some of those big public announcements. And finally, we'll go to the last slide, and we'll just thank everybody for having us, and we are happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mayor Jeb. I might as well start it off, and either the right foot or wrong foot, I don't know which it'll be, but a lot of these programs and initiatives that were brought forward through the county have gone forward in leaps and bounds. But the one issue that's always stuck back in the crotch is I can't get over this Campbellford Bridge. Why is it taking so long to do so many studies and so many meetings and so many? It just seems to be an enormous amount of money being spent on one project, and we're still not at the final stage. Is there any explanation behind that?
I think what was really the last couple of years, it's been moving steadily forward as we got into the design. What really took the greatest amount of time was the EA process. When it initially started, we went through the EA process. There was a lot of debate, discussion, pushback from within the community, and then that resulted in digging into it further and expanding on that EA process to make sure that they were addressing all of the concerns of the community. So the EA is really what took the most significant amount of time. And then when we got into the early design phases, they were able to spend some time and actually adjust the footprint and do some creative things to try and further reduce the impact to the community. So once they just started design, then they were able to reduce the property impacts. So we're not acquiring quite as many properties, or not full acquisition of properties as what they had initially planned. So as they got through design, they've been able to scale that back and work through that. So that took a bit of time, but I think that is going to result in a better impact to the community. We're still getting to the end result of the bridge, but not quite as detrimental to the surrounding homes. So now, as I mentioned, we are almost fully complete design, and we are actually now in the acquisition phase. So that will see us start in the coming months some of the very early parts of construction, things like utility relocates and that sort of thing. And now really what will be the next big hurdle is whether we're successful acquiring some of the funding, because we do need some funding from other levels of government to contribute to this project, which was the vision all along.
John, that's not what I was going to say. John, don't you have follow-up and other questions?
It's the priority one.
We have electronic failure, which is,
Here we are. Sorry,
any follow-up?
just not right now. No, that's time. But it satisfies my curiosity and probably a lot of the public's curiosity and where this project stands at the time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Larry, please.
I just have a couple of questions. One is, with the campaigns well underway for the federal election, there's much talk about reducing the DC charges or eliminating them altogether to enhance construction for homes. How do we see that, and have you started to factor that impact on your budget? I mean, it's still not fully understood, but these are one of the things that are going on.
So I guess factoring in the growth or factoring in the potential absence of DCs?
Right.
Okay. I'll start and maybe I'll let Matt add in as well. I think when we talk about DCs, when we look at the county DCs, we need to be practical about the amount of DCs that we collect. And we're at about 3,500 per unit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're at about 3,500 per unit. So our level of DCs are not driving decisions for a new home purchase. If you're looking at many hundreds of thousands for a home, $3,500 is not the make or break. But it has a significant impact on what we're able to deliver for services when we spread that out across the county services. We certainly were impacted when they made previous adjustments with housing and those sorts of things and what we were able to deliver for services. That was a significant impact to us, but we adapt and plan. We'll see the federal government doesn't directly have the authority to take away DCs. That would be obviously a provincial decision if they wanted to amend that legislation. I think we are certainly looking for growth, and right now our plans include development charges at their current levels, and it'll certainly impact what we're able to deliver for services if we don't have that revenue source. Don't know if you have it.
No, I think it's an important discussion for sure. And I think, as Jennifer mentioned, we did the multi-year budget in 2024, so we haven't had the opportunity to change budgeting as a result of this, and probably wouldn't until we know something firm anyway. But it is a big concern, particularly for projects like the Trent River Crossing. That project is 75% DC recoverable. So if that goes away, it's a significant amount of money for sure. So yeah, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen with DCs.
Yeah, just thank you. And just one other question I have is, you mentioned, Jennifer, just on healthcare, you indicated physician recruitment. What were you describing there?
The county's role at this point is fairly minor, but we did set aside a small amount of money to go into some of the initiatives and support what the physician recruitment was going on. And certainly at a staff level, we've also been participating in some of the efforts through the OHTN and some of their working groups that they have in looking at ways that we can attract, and not just physicians, but all healthcare human resources to the broader community.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mark, Bruce, Mark?
I don't at this time have the exact rates. I know that the agreements that we have when we went out with our private sector partners and the requirements for the federal and provincial funding is that they need to be competitive. So they need to be consistent with what folks would be paying other areas. And I know looking at some of the more urban areas are some of the benchmarks. So it needs to be in that competitive range. I don't have an exact dollar amount. We're just starting to launch some of the communications. And as they start to build it out and as they start to get ready to light that up, then there'll be communications with all the residents with pricing and packages and all of the things that the questions that they'll have to actually sign up if they wish to do that.
Anything further, Mark? Bruce?
I just wondered about the site. A lot of these
Well, actually, it's got very easy for us because we no longer have operate our recycling plant. We did sell that as of last January. Now it is a private sector consortium. It is the stewards that are looking after that. So the producers of all of those materials are now responsible, and they have an organization and it's set up as regions across the whole province. So this is the final year of the implementation of that, and we went as last year's phase. So we now are still somewhat involved because we're working through the last year of a contract for collection. We've partnered with them for that. Eventually that will phase out as well. We still play a bit of a role as far as communication. We still sell the bins and things at our office, but we're not directly involved in the sorting or actually selling off the materials. So we're not watching the market anymore.
Mark, you have a follow-up somehow?
Thank you. The multi-year budget that was approved it was just under a 9% increase for 2026. However, there are a number of changes that were approved this year. So we'll be looking at reopening it again and presenting it to council for their direction. Well, this year, 2025, and next year, 2026, we have the extraordinary item of the debt for the new Golden Plow Lodge coming on board. So that's really put an extreme amount of pressure on our budget. That alone, the first payment this year represents a 5% increase on our budget. So the 6.12% increase that was approved is actually a below inflationary increase when you take that out. And in 2026, there are normally 2 payments a year to Infrastructure Ontario for debt. So the first one starts this year in 2025, and then in 2026 we'll have 2. So we have the same issue again, another pressure of about 5% on next year's budget.
When you asked that question, Mark, I noticed that Jennifer's eyes looked my way, expecting a comment about next year's budget. And I think everybody in this room, including Matt and Jennifer, know where I would stand on that. So I don't need to verbalize it anymore. Anything further for Matt or Jennifer? Thank you. And I hope the rest of your road show goes well. Back to the agenda, we need a motion to receive the county presentation. Please, mover and a seconder. Moved by John, second by Larry. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. We have no closed session, so our next item of business is our motion to adjourn. And that reads that the committee of the whole meeting held on April the 8th, 2025 be adjourned at 1:48 p.m. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by Mark, second by Bruce. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.